Hello, thank you for coming onto this link just to have a look at the reception curriculum meeting that was held last week. I'll do a little recording of an explanation of each slide. I'll try not to be too long, so please do see the presentation through to the end, just so you can see how your children are going to be learning in school and how you can support at home. Okay. So the first slide just takes us through the themes of the early years foundation stage. Okay, so a unique child suggests that every child is a unique child who is constantly learning and who can be resilient, capable, confident, and self-assured. And that's what we want for our children in the early years. We want them to be confident in the learning, resilient in terms of risk-taking and trying new things in their learning. And if sometimes they find something tricky, to bounce back and keep going rather than giving up. Added on to this is your positive relationships. So children learn to be strong and independent through positive relationships with the staff in their environment and also with their peers. Enabling environments just refers to the environment that they're in and they're learning in. So it says children learn and develop well in enabling environments with teaching and support from adults who respond to their individual interests and needs and help them to build their learning over time. Okay, so we work hard in reception to make sure that our environment is stimulating for the children, has lots of areas of learning to help them develop. Okay, and all these three elements lead to good learning and development. Children develop and learn as well at different rates, and it's important to recognise this in the early years when the children are so young, that they're all completely different and learn at their own pace. Okay, let's have a look at the next slide. So the 7 areas of learning within the early years curriculum. So we have 3 prime areas, as you can see there: communication and language, physical development, which also involves fine motor skills, holding pencils and tools and things like that, personal, social and emotional development. So they're the 3 key areas really. And then specific areas as well. We've got literacy, mathematics, understanding the world, and expressive arts and design. So that's our early years curriculum, which is different than the curriculum in other subjects. Sorry, in other year groups, not other subjects. Okay, running alongside our early years foundation stage curriculum are also the characteristics of effective learning. Okay, so these are the things that we're looking to develop in children to help them become really good learners, basically. So we'll be looking at playing and exploring, ensuring that children want to have a go and are inquisitive and curious, playing with things that they already know, but then being willing to try different areas as well, and being willing to have a go at things that they wouldn't normally try or things that they find tricky. Your active learning, so your motivation is really important as well. So being able to stick at an activity for a period of time and see it through to the end. Keeping on trying. So that's that resilience, isn't it, in the face of challenge. Enjoying achieving what they set out to do. So not just doing things for praise and rewards and stickers and things like that, but just for their own kind of personal gain as well, and feeling proud of themselves when they've achieved something. And finally, creativity and thinking critically. So getting their problem solving skills developed, thinking of their own ideas, planning on how to do things, changing things accordingly if things aren't going according to plan, things like that. Okay, so there are characteristics of effective learning which are equally important as our 7 areas of learning. So how do we assess children in the early years? Well, we have now done our baseline assessment already. So the children coming in those first week or so, we do baseline assessments in like vocabulary, in phonics, in blending and segmenting skills, and early mathematics as well, with a main focus on number. That just gives us an idea of where the children are at in terms of their attainment when they come to us in September. We also have termly milestones. So in reading, writing and maths, we have different statements for each term that we assess the children against, just to see that they are progressing as they should be doing and reaching those age-related expectations. The early learning goals are a statutory assessment for the early years that we assess the children against in the summer term. Okay, so these are in all the 7 areas of learning from the previous slide, and they're statements that we have to assess the children against to see whether they have reached what we consider a good level of development before they start year 1 and 2. Children have ongoing targets that we work towards as well. They're just ongoing all the time. There are 2 reports sent out to parents. One is in February, which will be the midterm report. This report just gives an attainment and effort grade for reading, writing, mathematics, and a general statement as to how children are getting on in terms of their personal, social, and emotional development as well. So that's sent out in February, and you'll get a more extensive report in July at the end of the reception year. We have 2 parents' evenings as well. The first one will be in October, and that will be more of a settling in discussion. We might discuss the baseline results, that kind of thing. And we also have one just after the midterm reports in Feb. I think it tends to be early March, the second parents' evening, and that will be more a discussion of like progress and how the children are getting on mid-year. So the daily routine consists of guided reading, a phonics session, a literacy and mathematics session, and in the afternoon we have kind of topic-based activities which look at like understanding of the world and things like that. So we have all those different areas there. We might have some learning in the classroom, learning outdoors. We have role play areas, we look at ICT skills, that kind of thing as well. And we have continuous provision, which is the different areas of learning where the children play, like in the sand and the water and the role play and things like that. We have those ongoing all day. And of course, we have our daily story time and snack time as well. So phonics at our school is taught daily in stages. We follow the phonics book scheme. And this involves learning to read through learning the different sounds made by different letters of the alphabet, basically. So we will discuss these words with the children. We've got phoneme there and grapheme. So phoneme is just a sound that a letter makes. So the letter S makes the S sound, and we would consider that a phoneme. The grapheme is just what that sound looks like. So learning how to write the letter S, basically. Blending is when you put some of these phonemes together. So if we were looking at the S, A, T, the children then to hear that says sat, and putting those sounds together. Segmenting is the opposite. So if you were to give the children the word sat, them being able to think, oh, I can hear the S and the A and the T sound, and that then helps with spelling the word when they come to writing. So that's blending and segmenting. What you can try and do to help at home with phonics, try and pronounce sounds correctly. So some of the phonemes, and I'm looking at the alphabet there, like the letter F, sometimes can be pronounced as F. Well, we don't really want that. We want F. Let me think of another one. So ul is another one. It can sometimes be pronounced as L. Well, we don't want that. We want ul. And the letter M rather than M. The letter N rather than N. The letter R rather than R. And S, the letter S rather than S. Okay, so it really helps when blending if you pronounce those sounds correctly. So something like, if I was to do, can't think of one off the top of my head. If I was to do the word sit, if I was to go S, I, T, you can hear it not as well as if you go S, I, T. You can hear the blend easier if you pronounce those sounds correctly. So do try and pronounce them correctly with your children. If children do say things like L and S and M at school, we'll just model the correct pronunciation back to them as S, kind of thing. Sing lots of nursery rhymes with children, creating rhyming strings, making up silly sentences. Some tongue twisters and things are good for that. Hearing that initial sound in a word is important. Play sound spotting games like I Spy is a really good one for initial sounds, and support homework. Practice sounds at home. We will try and put the sounds that we are learning the following week on the blog on a Friday, so that you can go through with your children the sounds and just reinforce that learning at home that they've learned at school. So we learn phonemes in this order. Initially, because they're all single sounds, we'll be learning 4 a week. Okay, so this is the order that we will learn in. So we will, oh, let me go back one. Oh, sorry about this. I'll just end my show and go back to, let me just share that. And go back. Okay, so we learn these sounds 4 at a time and tricky words alongside. So we go in this order, and then when we get to D, we'll come down and learn in that order. And that's all phase 2. So we'll learn them first. Then once we've finished phase 2, we'll come on to phase 3. Some single sounds to begin with, and then we get onto these digraphs. Okay, so these are considered digraphs because it's 2 letters making 1 single sound there. And because children find these harder to learn, we'll slow the learning down to 2 of these phonemes a week rather than 4. So we've got lots of digraphs here. Here with the phoneme I, it's 3 letters instead making 1 sound, so we consider that a trigraph. Okay, so we've got a mixture of digraphs and trigraphs there, and again, this is the order that we will teach these phonemes. Okay, so reading. So we follow the simple view of reading, which looks through learning our sounds and then blending them together to recognise words and keyword recognition at the same time, because some of the words that we're teaching the children to learn at the same time, like the word the, they can't be blended. So some of these words we consider tricky words, and the ones that the children just need to learn to read by sight. So we learn to read through word recognition, lots of emphasis on that first and building up that fluency, and then looking at, do they understand the words that they're actually reading? Okay, so that's the comprehension. And if you've got both skills, that'll help you become a good reader. Every child has a reading pack they need to bring in every day, and we'll soon be giving out the yellow reading diaries. They need to be brought in every day as well. Children will read between 2 and 3 times a week, depending on what reading group they are in, and will match the child's phonics knowledge. So children need to have covered the sounds and be secure in them before looking at them in a reading book, basically. So once we've covered sounds and we feel children are fairly secure with them, then they'll get a reading book looking at those sounds and applying them so that they're exposed to those sounds in reading books. Books will mostly be phonics bug books. They'll have a little bug on the front, and you can look at the back of the book that will show you the sounds covered in the book and the tricky words as well. So what you can do to help, reading regularly, makes the biggest impact on children's progress in reading. It is so important because it just taps into lots of different areas. If children are confident readers, not just in reception but beyond, it really helps them with the learning in other areas as well. So Utopia will really be reading with your child every single day. That's what we're aiming for. I appreciate lives are busy, but it is one thing that is so important in terms of children's progress. So that's really, really important. Reading to them as well, their favourite books that they're not able to read yet. Lots of storybooks and things at night time before bed is a lovely idea. Helping learning keywords is really important as well. Segmenting, so spelling out words, asking children if they can spell simple CVC words. Visiting a library and having a look at signs whilst out and about. So this is what an inside page in our reading diary looks like. We will fill in 2 of those boxes here. Let's have a look. So here and here with 2 of our reading sessions from the week. If you can fill in the other 3, that would be fabulous. Even if you listen to your child read every day, you don't necessarily need to fill in 7 different boxes. 3 will do, but if you'd like to fill in more, that's absolutely fine and great. It gives us more information about how children are getting on reading at home in a one-to-one situation rather than group reading at school. We'll put some sounds and words to practice at the bottom, and we'll tick what they're able to do. So by the end of the year, we're hoping to be able to tick this and tick this. That's what we're aiming for by the end of the reception year. Writing takes longer to learn than reading. Children are at different stages and will remain at different stages throughout the year. We focus on good pencil grip, forming letters correctly. So in your home learning pack, you will have a purple handwriting book which gives the letter stories that we use to help the children form the letters correctly. So do use that and go through those letter stories with the children so they become more familiar with them. It helps them form each letter as they should do. So what you can do to help, encourage correct pencil grip. It's really important, like your tripod grip, with the 3 fingers. Model writing, I know we don't do as much of it these days with all the technology that we've got, but it's good for children to see yourselves writing. Provide opportunities at home to colour, because that's always a good skill, and support handwriting homework. We will be sending that home soonish. Initially, it'll start off probably as a little bit of pencil control sheets, and then after that we'll do letters and things like that of the alphabet for children to learn to write in the correct way. Children may be a little bit reluctant to do this at first. They can tend to be with the writing, but lots of perseverance. Maybe do a line a night. If children are tired and they're getting frustrated with it, leave it, come back to it later. It does get better if children are reluctant to do that writing. Once they start being able to do it a little bit easier, it does get a lot better. So please do persevere with the writing homework. Excuse me. So this is where we're aiming for at the end of the reception year and independently as well. So children by themselves to be able to form the letters correctly and be able to spell some key words correctly, be able to use some capital letters and full stops, and be able to spell longer words phonetically. Okay, so we've got To the Caterpillar, thank you for my party shoes. They are shiny just like me. I like them so much. Love from Beetle. So as an adult, we need to be able to read the child's writing. We want to see some finger spaces between words. And you can see there, like shiny and party are not spelt correctly. That's absolutely fine in the reception year, as long as they are using correctly the phonemes that we've taught them in their writing, and we can read it by spelling it out. That's perfectly fine. You can see here that we've got words like to and the and like and they and you. So there's some of our keywords that we'd be wanting the children to be able to spell correctly. You'll notice here in this piece of work, it is the precursive with the flicks on. We don't do that now in reception. We teach them just to print. Okay, we did used to do a few years back, but not anymore. So we'll be starting each letter at the top rather than doing the flicks. We don't need to do the flicks on them anymore in reception. So in terms of mathematics, we have a mastery approach. We follow the mastering number approach in reception. So it really allows children lots of thinking and talking in maths, allowing lots of discussion, solving problems, making mistakes is really important as well, and allowing them to learn from that and talking about what might have gone wrong and things like that. It's important children know this rather than just recognizing numbers and putting them in order. There's a lot more to the maths in reception than that. So we take it slowly as we want that deep understanding of mathematical concepts. We will only be looking at numbers to 5 until Christmas and really focusing on numbers to 10 in the reception year. We will touch upon numbers 11 to 20, but only a little bit. It's mostly just numbers to 10, and having that inside out knowledge of numbers to 10, it forms a really good basis for mathematics later on in school. So we're looking at things like comparing numbers, counting, making sure that children understand what 4 looks like, and understanding that once you've stopped at 4, that's how many there are, matching up numbers with amounts, looking at different ways to make numbers. And subitizing there is a really big word that we use in reception. That's recognizing how many without counting. So looking at 5 dots and understanding that there's 5 there. Initially, we might look at dice patterns, which is the ones that the children are more familiar with. But later on, we'll look at different ways of, like, they might be able to recognize 7 because they can see that 4's there and 3's there, and you know that 4 and 3 make 7. So we're looking at subitizing in different ways as children get a little bit older. We also look at spatial awareness, looking at shape, pattern, and measures. But the main focus throughout the reception year is on number. By the end of the year, we need to be able to know odds and even numbers to 10, being able to double numbers 1 to 5 quite fluently, quickly. So knowing some number bonds to 10, knowing all our number bonds to 5, including subtraction facts. So if they know like 2 add 3 equals 5, then they should also know that 5 take away 3 is 2, and knowing it inside out that way. Okay. So what you can do to help and promote that fluency in maths, support any maths homework that goes home. Games are a great way of learning number. It's exposure to the dice, it's adding, it's lots of different things. Card games and board games are great for that. Singing lots of number songs, practice counting, subitizing again, knowing how many without counting, partitioning, giving them a number like 9. How can we make 9? What's it made up of? Okay, different ways of doing that. Practicing your number facts and using those mathematical words. So our continuous provision are our different areas of learning, and we change these around as and when, really. Some areas are changed more regularly than others. And it just depends on whether the children are really enjoying an area or whether we think something else might be more suitable. Lots of areas are tied in with our topics and things like that. Children generally choose their own areas that they'd like to go and learn in and play in, but we do sometimes guide children as well into other areas if there's something we'd like them to develop. We get out into the areas of learning as well, into our continuous provision, and go and play with the children and question them, develop the vocabulary and things like that, and develop their learning in different areas just by being with them in the areas that they choose to play with. The topic that we're doing first is ourselves. So we're looking at really developing those independent skills. Yeah. Do they remember to wash their hands? Can they go to the toilet independently? Can they put their own coat on, which includes really pulling those arms out the right way so that the coat is ready to put on the next time they go out. Understanding what makes a healthy food choice, trying different foods, that kind of thing, being a bit more adventurous rather than just sticking to the same foods all the time. Understanding why healthy foods are good for us and what they do for our body, and just really, really developing that independence. Okay. So some of you already have your home learning packs. Others are given out this week, which will include some stationery. So we've got a whiteboard pen, a pencil, a rubber, a pencil sharpener, a whiteboard, a rubber, a board rubber, whiteboard rubber, your phonics booklet. Do take the time to read that. It just reiterates lots of things about our learning in phonics and might answer any questions you've got, your handwriting booklet, a phase 2 and phase 3 sound mat, which will be at the back of your phonics booklet, and a sheet with useful websites and apps you can use to help develop the learning of children. The school blog is where we will put every Friday information about what the children have been learning that week, and we will put on some photographs as well. It is also where we will put any notices about the following week. So please do check the school blog regularly, definitely every week. And if you can check more than that, then that's great, just in case we put anything on during the week. So on the website, on a PC, or on the app on your phone, if you go to the children drop-down menu and go to reception blog, you'll find our information on there. So this is what the page looks like when you go onto it. It's got some key information. You can click on all these links, some videos showing letter formation, information about phase 2 and 3 phonics. That's a really good one. Vocabulary that we'll be teaching the children throughout the year, homework sheets, when we start homework, and home learning. That's used if we've ever got lockdowns and things. We'll put home learning on there, but I'm hopeful that won't happen. So like I say, please do check the reception blog regularly. So that comes to the end of our curriculum meeting PowerPoint. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to come to us at the end of the day or email us reception@lostokhallcps.co.uk. And we will send the home learning packs out this week. And like I said, thank you for taking the time to watch this. Thank you.